All right. Sound check. Sound check. Good morning, Renee. Good morning, Red Void. Sound check. Good. Echoey. Let me just check the sound settings. It should be good. How's that? That should be better now. Cool. Thanks, David. Good morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. New day, fresh start. Welcome to the Pitbull Traders Morning Game Plan. I'm your host, Manny. The purpose of this show is simple: live futures trading, real-time technical analysis, and actionable setups. They focus on building the real trading skills and the mindset designed to drive consistent profitability. Not guessing, not chasing. Every morning we come in with the same goal: to build out the structure before the open so that we're operating in alignment with the day's dominant forces. All right, team, let's map it out. Let's get in alignment with the market. Can everybody hear me? All right, thank you. All right, so let's build it out. We're gonna start off as we do every morning. We're gonna map out the higher time frame. We're gonna start there. We're gonna make sure we're in alignment with that first. And the first thing that I wanted to point out here was I'm starting to see on just a quick look at the daily chart, right? And you can see how we've gotten what's standing out to me is that we're starting to go a little bit into these compressed ranges, right? You can kind of see it here. The last 3 days, we've just had these kind of compressed ranges. And that's, so on the way up in this rally, we've had these large prints, right? That's participation, that's volatility. And now that's seemingly drying out, right? We had this buying tail here, and that was the last strong day we had to the upside. And that was back on the 28th. So it's been a little bit of time. Oh wait, it's been some time since we've had volatility expansion. So we need to be on alert for that, okay? Because that's obviously something that we want to be mindful of, because we'll go from compressed volatility to expanded volatility, and we want to be on alert. So, all right, let's dig into the 4-hour time frame. Let's get in alignment with the higher time frame. Let's see what we got. Nope. All right, so we're getting a little messy up here, right? You can see on the higher time frame, you're starting to see what we saw on the daily time frame, and that the market is starting to put in this big selling tail that followed a buying tail. So that's indecision, consolidation at the top. And part of this rally, one of the characteristics of this rally, and we've been pointing it out, is that we've gone from compressed ranges to breakout, sideways consolidation, breakout. So it's been more of a pullback in time rather than a pullback in price. Now, of course, that's not going to, we shouldn't expect that that's going to continue forever. However, we have to keep trading with the trend, because there's no way to call when it might end. All right, so let's just be in alignment there. Here's our previous high, structural high on the 4-hour time frame, comes in at 75.70 to 75.75. That's also comes in right at yesterday's low, 75.76. All right, that's also the overnight low. So we have a good structural reference there to map out for the day's price action. All right. The other thing that to point out is that the 4-hour time frame is coming back down, and it's testing that 21 period moving average. All right. That's tended to act as support when the market is strong. All right. And we should test it today. That's coming in today at 75.86. We'll see. All right. So 75.70 to 75.75 is our first structural reference. I couldn't envision a scenario where we get down into this prior high, 75.50. Market loves to do that, right? Like this is just for the market to pull back down to the prior high and bounce. Yeah, that's what it did already. You can see that those buyers reacted and bounced the market there. I wouldn't expect for it to bounce twice. All right. So, but what we could expect is maybe we get a deeper low that still remains with the same structure, right? Forms up a higher low, and maybe that comes in at 75.50. You find a little market blueprint. It's on there as our kind of our bullish above line. So I do envision a scenario where we can get down there to 75.50 and maybe bounce. We'll see what happens. Below there, we have our 7,500 reference. So just keep those in mind. Most bullish scenario is bouncing from 75.70 to 75.75. We could retrace as deep as 75.50 to 75.55. Yeah, I think that makes sense. That's also, the 75.50 is also that 50 period moving average. Although I don't really trade moving averages, when they're there, it helps. You have those eyes on that level as well. But maybe we get a scenario like this where we come down and then we bounce. All right, so that frames out the support areas, right? We have the 75.70 to 75.75. And then below that, we have 75.50 to 75.55. All right, let's make sure we remember those, write those down in your journal. Make sure you have those in the back of your mind. Let's dig into the 15-minute chart. And then we're going to stick to the process we're going to do as we do every day. We're going to map out the most bullish outcome. We're going to map out the most bearish outcome. And then we're going to talk about our favorites, right? The bearish trap trade and the bullish trap trade. If you guys have been tuning in, you could kind of get an idea for the process, right? Process is always kind of mapping out how the day can unfold prior to, and having a process is so important, right? It just kind of gets your mind in tune with the market as you wake up and you're looking at the charts. Sometimes it's easy to look at chart patterns, but when we add the structural references, when we add the value areas, the prior days reference areas, that really frames out that structure and how we want to engage the market on that day. All right. So coming in, we're going to map out the most bullish argument and say we're opening at 75.91. You can already see how we're potentially putting in a lower high. All right. We had the rip yesterday high, and then we went sideways, and then immediately we had this big sell off. Okay. So right now we're staring at a lower high, and what we have today is a great structural reference that the settlement and value area high are coming in right in alignment at 76.13. Pardon me. All right, the most bullish argument. Say we're opening 75.92. The first thing we're going to want to see is for price to get over what? This little high that it just made in the pre-market, right? Because we know that it's been putting in lower highs in the overnight session, and that pre-market high came in at 76.05. All right. So now looking at that reference, let's build it out. 75.92. If we can get above 70, that reference that we have here, that pop that came in in the pre-market at 76.05. Okay. And we can get a pullback to that area, and we see that start to hold as support, then we're looking at long entries. We're looking at momentum buys with our risk marker being whatever local low forms on that pullback. And we're targeting the settlement at 76.13. We're also targeting value area high, which comes in at the same area at 76.13 as well. So good references there. We want to make sure that we have most of our scales out by the time we get there, because we know the nuances of trading the settlement, that we're going to see price retrace. And then what we do is, as being, market tacticians, we're always going to not react immediately. What we're going to do is we're going to wait and judge the reaction at that level. Let everybody else vote with their money, right? And then we'll come in and pick up the easy money after they vote. And so if we get a pullback from the settlement, that's tepid and that's mediocre, and it only pulls back, say 3 to 5, 6 points, and then all of a sudden we're testing it again, then we know, okay, well, maybe we can get a continuation long above there, or maybe we want to keep our stop and break even from our earlier entry. All right, let's frame out the bearish argument. Let me just get these charts in alignment. All right, here comes the most bearish argument. Ready? Here we go. 75.92. So pretty much we're in no man's land right here. We don't really have a structural reference till we get down to value area low at 75.81. Okay, so at 75.81, we're going to gauge price action and see what kind of a bounce is there. If price bounced at all. Hang on a second. All right, so coming in down here, we'll see this reference here, right? What do we have here? This prior high was at 75.83. All right, and value area low is 75.81. All right, so our bearish argument, we're opening 75.93 and price breaks. Okay, if we can get below, we might even have a setup right here coming in. Look at this low right here that just formed at 75.90, at 75, it looks like 75.95 to 75.97. All right, but if we get the break, okay, the most bearish argument is that we break, we have a tepid bounce at value area low, right? And then whatever this reference is here, maybe it's this low that we just formed coming in at, let's see, what is that? 75.87. All right, so if we can't get above and reclaim this area, then maybe at that point is when we're looking at short entries right in here and try to get some scales out before value area low. You know, this range is really wide, and with this up move here, it makes things difficult because there was little to no pullbacks in this move. So let's frame it out as 75.81. We'll use 75.87 as a loose reference. All right. So if we get below, if that 75.87 holds and you're really bearish and you want to try the short, sure, have at it. See if you can get some scales out before value area low. But in the most bearish argument, we're getting below value area low. We know that what? The ES, when it trades, it's a hot knife through butter. It should cut through supports like no one's home. All right. And once it cuts through there, we're having our scales out and we're looking for continuation below yesterday's low, below overnight low, while keeping our eyes peeled for any bearish trap trades. All right. Yeah, I mean, we could probably bounce. Maybe we get a small bounce off of value area low where we come up a little bit, right? And then get as high as 87, and we still have to be looking to target overnight low. A couple of different ways this can play out. It's a murky read because we have such poor structure. But the one caveat about selling is that when you're right, you know it right away because price is just cutting through it, right? And so there's not much time to consider. There's not much time that you have to second guess. If you're right, you know it. All right. So just keep that in mind. That's a little bit murky because we have very poor structure. This move was just a straight up retracement of the low of the move lower. Let's just measure that out also. Just for shits and giggles. Yeah, look at that. It traded right to the 61.8. So I'm measuring from yesterday's high to the overnight low. and price retraced. It went right to the 61.8 and then sold off. Okay, so I would anticipate if this trend is going to hold, if the 50% and 61% retracements are going to hold, I would anticipate completion of the move to be a 25% extension of that move, maybe down to 75.70. We'll see. All right, let's get back to the process, team. Let's frame out the bullish trap trade, and then we'll frame out the bearish trap trade. Get a quick screenshot, and we'll move forward. And you guys know that the bearish trap trade is one of my favorites. You know, we get in uptrends, you're probably seeing at least one of those a day, if not, certainly 4 times a week. Those can be really lucrative. If you're going to learn one setup, that's a great one to learn, to focus your attention on. All right, let's talk about the bullish trap trade. All right, the bullish trap trade has 2 ways it can materialize. If we get above that 75.07 reference, 75.05, and price peters out and it cannot touch the overnight, it doesn't even come close to the overnight high. All right, then at that point we know, okay, if it gets back below 75.07 and it starts to peter out, let's let it get below. Let's use 75.07 or this local high here, all right, as our risk marker. And then we're entering short trades to get us back down to some of these moving averages, if not even a move down to value area low. All right, that's one way it can materialize. It can also materialize in the form of us going up and testing the settlement. All right, so maybe it has a look like this, right? Let me just frame this out, right? Okay, that's one way it can materialize above the 75.07. Let me make sure I have that right. Okay, so maybe it materializes where instead of it not getting above 75.07, not tagging the overnight, this pullback high, what it does is it goes all the way up to the settlement, looks above, it gets a fade off the settlement, it breaches the settlement, gets above, and then ultimately, maybe, so here, this is probably a better formation, right? We come up, it fades off the settlement, comes back up higher, looks above, comes back up, and then we get a head and shoulders pattern that get us down. All right, so we know it's going to fade off the settlement for a few points. Then maybe it traps some longs above the settlement, screens go green, but ultimately it rolls over. We put in a lower high at that point below the settlement, charts are red, screens are still red, and we're looking for short entries, and that could be a really lucrative one. And if we're right and ES starts to sell, I mean, we could get a move all the way down. It should go fast. We should be seeing prints like these in here. Should see a move like this. All right, so that covers the bullish trap trade. Let's talk about the bearish trap trade. Bearish trap trade, we kind of went over it just a few minutes ago, but let's just go over it again. 75.96 opening. We get back down into this zone. Price looks below. It starts to wick. It starts to give us a formation of consolidation. We put in a higher low. Maybe we even go a little bit lower. We get an inverted head and shoulders. But ultimately, right, price is unable to gain any traction below yesterday's low. At that point, guys, we've been through this before, right? We see this all the time. Right? Let's not get overly bearish because of this move lower, right? That's where a lot of people get trapped. They see this move lower. They think, okay, this is the start of the next big move. And then while we're consolidating at lows, they're selling in here, right? And we know that what they're doing is they're setting up the shorts. All right. So remember, if we breach below overnight low, if we breach below yesterday's low, 75.76, and we get back above and we reclaim it, at that point, we're looking for long ideas. We're looking for long entries close to our exit point, close to our invalidation point. And we're going to try to get our first scales off at value area low. We're hoping to get back into the prior day's value for a move higher. We know that if we get back into value, we could see a short squeeze all the way back up to value area high, because we know that typically when price tests outside the prior day's value area and then re-enters it, typically what you see is price traverse to the opposite end of value. All right, team. So that covers the bullish trap trade. That covers the bearish trap trade. I think we're all set for today. I hope that frames it out for you. Let me know if you have any questions. Post your comments. A couple of things. So because we have this big overnight range, this compressed overnight range of 30. What's the overnight range? Why does it look different here? Yeah, 35 points overnight, right? So typically when you see the big overnight range, when you see an extended overnight range, I'm kind of expecting a small daily print. But we have a compressed overnight range, relatively speaking, to what we've seen recently. And so maybe we see that range expand. Maybe we see the range expansion during RTH. All right. Good morning, Delphine. Good morning, T Blizz. Thanks for joining us this morning. I think, yeah, we could see a volatility expansion here. We could see something nice here today. Let's see. I mean, you know, if that's the chart analysis, the book analysis. I know you guys understand that I really get a lot out of monitoring the book, and the book is not indicative of a big move today. It's more, you know, what the book is telling me is that volatility is being bid via Vega under the hood, and so while the trade has been sell out of the money puts and squeeze gamma to the upside, that was largely responsible for the rally. That has subsided. Now we see they're quietly buying out of the money puts and squeezing through they're performing gamma squeezes and pulling everybody out that way. So not really sure. The read is a little bit murky. I still think that the book is set up for higher prices. Ultimately, we could see up to 7,800 on the on SPX, sorry. And if you want more information on that or my thoughts on it, you can go check out the opening print, mrtopstep.com. I know that I wrote a piece for it that's being published today. Go check it out. I kind of make the argument and also lay out my thoughts on what I'm expecting to see over the course of the next week or so. All right. So that covers that. Let's see. I think we have some guest speakers lined up with us today. Hang tight. All right, and let's see what we have here. I had this short going on. I have a few micros on short, and I missed. I had a cover. I had a cover in here. I actually had 10. I got 5 off for 10 points at 75.90. Simply because this setup was from the overnight, from the lower high off the 61.8 retracement that we just laid out pre-market. I'm not really feeling, my risk appetite is not that great. So I just took it in micros, and once we formed this lower high. So this is I know some of you like to trade the overnight session, and you also know how much I enjoy trading it. I think it could be extremely lucrative. Last night, as price was selling off, I wanted to buy. All right, here's the opening bell, team. Let's stay focused. Let me get focused here. Let me get the opening print written down. What's our opening print? 75.98 quarter. 75.98 quarter. Our internals are red. Oh, look at NASDAQ. NQ, big sell off the open. You guys see that? Check out NQ. I'm likely to get stopped out on the remainder of these micro shorts. So I got plus 10 and so I got plus 10 on the first lot, on the first 5. And now my stop is -3 on the back half. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna get taken out right here. Oh yeah. There it goes. All right, got taken out there. Let's see. Let me get back to the market blueprint, see what I have going, see what I have cooking. Let me know. Did you guys take any trades in the pre-market? Let us know. Where did we open? We went 75.90. Oh, blood clot. Let's see. Dang it, where are you? There you go. WTF, what? Why is my RTY ripping to the upside? All right. 79, 89.90. 89.90 support. Yeah, they're going to squeeze these shorts. They're going to take every last bit of gas. They're going to get them out. They just squeezed me out of my half of my trade. Plus 10, and then I lost 3 on the back half. Hey, do you all understand how I'm managing these? I hope that you guys understand the math behind it. I hope that helps you manage your trades a little bit better. But essentially, if you're just checking in, I'm Manny, Pitbull Traders. I'm just going to go through it again. So I have different OCO strategies, so order cancels order strategies that I run. All right, and the way I kind of frame those out is. So on this particular strategy on micros, it's 10 micros in, right? At the first scale, I take 10 points on the first 5, and then my stop on the last 5 goes minus 3 points from my entry. So the trade nets me 7 points. All right. And I have different strategies that I run. I have a scalp strategy that goes plus 3 points. And then the stop on the second contract goes minus 1.5 back from entry. I have another one that goes plus 5 points, and then the stop goes minus 3 points from entry. All right. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. Good morning, Stuart. Good morning, Delphine. Let's go. Good morning, Nish. Question, the support resistance levels from the blueprint are good in Globex as well. Yes. Yes, they are, Nish. Correct. Yep, they surely are. It's fresh data. That's so Nish, if you so just as a heads up, the market blueprint, that's why some days it comes out later than others. Like the latest I'll put it out, I have to do it because I'm trying to trade it myself, right? Is by 8:30, and the information changes. So sometimes I'll be up, I've had the market blueprint out at 7 a.m. and then the data changed, and so I had to update it. So I try to push it out as much as I can, and as the data is coming in from the overnight session and from last night, I'm literally drafting it. That's why you'll often see I'm literally drafting it in the overnight session based on prior day and the overnight session volume. Okay, so often what you will see is that like a continuation long level will be the overnight high, or breakdown short will be the overnight low, and that's because those levels. It's not because I saw it that was the overnight high. Because typically I have the level before it forms. It's just that's what the data is telling me. All right, so that's why today's continuation long is where it is. Right, it's what the book is telling us. So continuation long today, 76.09. It's right above the overnight high, and there's a reason why we got up there and we sold. So we chopped lower. But I should have been on alert for this move lower. It was just a grindy move lower. I thought maybe off the open we would get a spike down to 75, 76. There was some unfinished business down here last night, and I'm still not convinced that we don't revisit 75, 76 today. However, conversely, on the opposite end of that, volatility is being suppressed. We're going to watch the VIX, but I'm more talking about Vega. Coming into it early, look, we have bifurcation where the Russell is ripping and the NASDAQ is dipping. ES is flat. This is a mixed bag. You're going to start to see this type of tape when you get to distribution, when you get to the distribution phase of a trend. And I believe that that's where we are. We are in the distribution phase of the trend. We had the Artemis move to the moon off of the March 30th low, high volume, big daily prints, strong moves higher. Now there's been volatility compression, small daily prints, and in my opinion, you're starting to see profit taking. We also have a tool that's called the MIM, the market on close. And yesterday came in 3 billion for sell. And I've been highlighting to our community that every day it seems like the MIM is coming in as a sell. And it's what you're going to see at this time in the trend. Where the larger hedge funds, larger institutions are participating in the up move, start to take profit from their positions. And it's interesting to note that the MIM, the market on close data, came in yesterday at a 3 billion to sell, and it was it was the beginning of a new month. Okay, that's a big tell. Because typically at the beginning of a new month, what you're seeing new inflows from 401ks, from retirement funds. All of that money comes in, and you typically see on the market on close, you'll see them to buy. I mean, I could be wrong. It's I don't, there's a common saying we have in our sister room at Mr. Topstep in the IM Pro room, and there are some really, really savvy traders in there. And there's a saying that that there are the boys with the better seats, right? They love to use that term, boys with the better seats. And often what we see is that they always have better data, they always have better information, and they tend to be more right than they are wrong. All right, we're coming in here. We're seeing what we have here. Let's see if we can get this one on. 75.9650 thus far is our low. We opened at 75.98 quarter. Again, we want to be on alert for weaving up above and below the overnight low. All right, that's going to be the first sign that we might be in a choppy trend. Thus far, our range is 8.75 points. These are the things that we want to be monitoring just off the open, right? We want to make sure that that we're keeping our ear to the street, right? So what's the opening range look like? How many times are we trade? Where's the opening print? How many times are we trading above it? How many times are we trading below it? And you can see now that we're back below it again. It looks like we're getting a bit of that liquidation break that we're seeing. The Russell is really, it just is odd because yesterday the Russell was selling off and the ES was bid. It's just hard to tell here. But the high here looks like it could hold for a bit. 76.05 quarter is the high. It's currently our high. And that looks like it could hold for a bit. Let's monitor it here. We're going to keep one eye on it. Again, it's a bit early to tell. We've only been open 10 minutes, all right? But what we want to monitor here is, do we get back above the opening print, 75.98 quarter? Does the opening range expand? Thus far, it's 9.75 points, all right? Internals currently are negative. All right. So let's watch here. Interestingly enough, right? The Russell is testing a prior high at 2935. All right. It looks like the NASDAQ is starting to wick at the low. But does it get below and does it break below its overnight low? That's what's going to be the tell here. Let's see, where is that? Hey, how many of you are NQ traders? I'm thinking about just adding the NQ to our playlist. Good morning, hey Michael. 400 points up in the Dow in 10 minutes. Dang, that could be that's nice for your day. Good morning, Philly D. Good morning, CB. Easy money. Been trading MNQ more? Yeah, so I was thinking about it. I haven't traded it in a long time, very, very long time. I never saw the reason to trade. So I've tried NQ. I haven't seen the reason to change trading ES because so my outlooks are this. All right, the way I see it is find the instrument that you're really good at, and these instruments are so liquid that instead of trying to trade ES and NQ, I can just be really good at ES and add more contracts, right? If I'm a good 3-point trader, then be a good 3-point trader and then add size to it. I mean, imagine what a 3 points on 100 lot looks like, right? So so my focus has just been on, and there was a time where I was so against trading ES because it was so admittedly, there's a lot of chicanery that goes on with ES. Just even more so, in my opinion, in the NQ. But and that's why when I was trading the euro, I really liked the way that moved. And when I was trading the Russell, I thought it moved a little bit more cleanly. And I still consider going back to the Russell. It's $10 a point. You get the moves. But I haven't had the time to kind of change hats. I've just been entrenched with ES, and I've been kind of doing well there. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. All right, thus far we have a lower high. All right, thus far we have a lower high. The 76.05 quarter high came in, but we're back above the open again. Again, very, 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 very choppy, very, very dicey here. Right back up again, right back up again. Watch this here. Let's watch these 76.05s, team. Sometimes they like to drive price right up here and then they turn it right away on a dime. It's one thing one thing we know for sure: the high or the low of the day are not in yet. Here we go. They're going back up. 76.03. Keeping one eye here on the delta and the order flow. Yep, it looks like they got them here. It looks like they're going to press them. Yep. Okay. I still have not done anything since that micro short I had. So waiting for this first half an hour to kind of play out. I wouldn't be surprised if we, rolled over here and tested back down to the low. Just in terms of like it just being choppy, right? Like in the choppy day, and go back down and test the open. I may try them here. Yep, I got some Anastasia. I sold 76.0350, and then I'm risking 2 points on it above that 76.0550 high. We're going to scalp them back down to the open. Yeah, nope, it's not working them out. So I think I lost 2 ticks on that. Go back to the micro. Go back to the micro account. Feeling like a micro risk day. Wait a minute. You saw that? They went up to 76.0450 and then they rolled over. Yeah, no, they're still pressing them. Nothing to see here. I'm in those 03 quarters, 76.03 quarter. Nope. No love at 76.03. Stalling out, they're gonna rip them higher. Oh wait, what was that? If I try them again, I'll let y'all know. But I literally want to be, I want it to be like a good order flow read. And I have my eyes glued on that. And they just keep Giving a mixed signal here. It looks like the higher, the longer they press here, they're probably just going to move higher. But we'll see. It can go either way. I got 03s. I'm gonna let these work. I'm gonna risk the 2 points on them. Nope. Oh, look at that volume. Look at that volume coming in. Oh, 7604, 7604.50. That's it. They're going to squeeze it right now. I took a 3-tick loss on that. 7604 quarter. They hit them 125 times. Not at 300 at 7604.75. At 7605, they're like they're going to bust through right now. Yep. 7605, 7605 quarter. Yep, they're busting through. All right, so I lost like a net of like, let's see, it was 4 ticks on the first and 3 ticks on the second. But so for me, that's more or less like an asymmetrical trade, right? So I'm risking like a few ticks, and then maybe I can get a move right back down to the opening print, 76.98. Sorry, 75.98. So risking like 4 or 5 ticks to get down to, I don't know, maybe get down to 98, and then maybe get, catch a runner or something, right? All right, let's go back to the plan now. Large Void says Jolton 5, Bruce Lee, Master 1 kick 10,000 times. Yep, good one. It's rolling over now, but I'm not trying that again. Let me just see exactly what I lost on that. It's very small. And there are those scalp entries where you're getting in like 1 tick, like so it was 7603 and my exit was 7606. Those entries are, where, and then I took it off for, I wouldn't think maybe 2 points on both, right? Those are really strong asymmetric trades that you can, that I toy around with at times, because I'm testing the theory that maybe we're going to have a range bound day like we did yesterday. Live Action says, not a big fan of pivots, but at times the market shows them being respected, so I put them up. Yeah, so if test it out. I was chatting with another trader yesterday, and he shared some options information with me, and look, I stay curious. Okay, I stay curious. I wish I had more time to investigate everything that I come across, but my trading system has been compiled literally by bits and pieces of things that I've looked at, and I'd say, all right, well, this works. Like looking at this one methodology, all right, well, this works, but this doesn't. And it was a mistake when I used to think that one system was going to, that it was going to be a one size fits all. But it was when I started taking the best pieces of everything I found. That's how I got to where I am now. So bits and pieces of things that worked, and then throwing out what doesn't work. There are some methodologies and some charts that I try to keep it very, very how should I say, on stream. I want to make sure that I present something that everyone can understand. But there are other things that I use outside of, there are other, how can I say it? There are other tools that I have that I'm using, and from them I'm just using one or two things. And so, and I think that the value areas and what we use today, like I think that those are the most, that those hold the most, that they can be most universally applied. I hope that makes sense. So if I shared it all, it'd be a little bit confusing. But I have I think that you should test everything that's out there, and stay curious to new things. All right, it looks like Jolt is coming out. Heads up. All right. Yeah, so live action says naked chart will show areas of respect without tolls being up. And when news hit, be especially careful. Most go out the windows. It's where only experience will help you. Yep, I think experience is the key. It's very hard to no indicator can make up for lack of experience. It'd be kind of confusing to everyone if I started showing like stuff like this, right? That's just not going to help anyone. It's going to get very confusing, and it's very hard for other people to read. But I do have other. Yeah, I try to keep it generic so that we're what we're teaching is universally applicable, and that you don't need a special software set to trade what I'm trading. Thanks, Philly D. Appreciate it. Appreciate the comment. Appreciate the support. And I mean it sincerely. You know, if I didn't think I could help other, I hope I can help other traders. Because I remember saying when I was getting started out, it's like if I ever cross that plane where I feel like I can be a career trader and earn a living from trading, and if I cross that plane and I can do it well enough, I want to help somebody else, because I just remember I was in such a rotten place at the time. And so that's what this is a lot about. That's what this is mostly about. And I mean that sincerely. If I can help somebody else out, nothing would make me more happy. All right, here we go. Moving on up. Kind of saw this coming in here, right? We saw the fade off of 76.03. Price was unable. Now we're breaking out. No worries, live action. Yeah, the crushing at Marvel today. Let's see. No worries, live action. I appreciate it. I love the commentary. Love the conversation. There's nothing going on right now. I don't have a setup here. I did think that we could fade from up here. I thought we could respect and put in a higher low on based off the what we saw in the pre-market prep, right? So we came up. We kind of tested that 61.8 right up here, and then we rolled over. So I was looking for a lower high. Still am, right? Lower high. I was looking for a lower high in here against this, and it never materialized. I tried it twice, and I lost maybe, max 2 points. Like I tried 3 ticks on the first, and maybe 3 ticks on the second. So let's just round it off to 2 points, right? Just to be fair, that's not going to make a difference for me. So I was looking for the lower high. It rolled over. You saw we chopped around, but we never rolled over. So it looks like we want to go test higher again now. So now the direction changes, right? Now our focus changes. We need to closely monitor this high. This high is coming in at 76.10 half. We have very, very little in the way of volatility. The VIX gapped up and now it's coming back down. We're kind of bifurcated. Look at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is ripping up higher now. Russell's broke out. Just about tested. What is that last week's high? 29.35. 5 and pulled off. So that's a significant reference. No, that's yesterday's high. Let's just focus on buying a dip. We're still in that uptrend. The hourly trend is intact. I'm looking for that continuation long off the market blueprint. That's my next setup. I'll fit around and I'll wait for that. Continuation long above 76.09. I don't want to click myself broke here, taking 2 tick losses, and this thing is just grinding higher. Nope, no worries. You said Marvel is getting crushed. Oh, you're crushing Marvel options. Yeah, well, that's pretty impressive. Nice move there. All right, getting back to ES. So one of the other things that this account that I took those trades in is, so typically, you know what, that's good. That's interesting. Let's talk about that while we wait for that setup to kind of materialize. So, one thing I think traders need to be careful about, is how many accounts they trade. I know that, I've seen guys on social media, trading 20 accounts and 30 accounts, and the reason for that, in my opinion, is that, when you trade too many accounts, I think you open the door to bad habits. I think you open the door. I think that it makes that gambling component makes you more susceptible to that gambling, exciting, apart from as opposed to executing a strategy. Now you're just like, bet it all on black, whatever the case might be. I think we have to be really, really careful of that. I typically will trade 2 funded accounts at the same time. I run 4 different strategies, and the way I run it is, if I take a trade in account A, let's say I have 4 accounts, A, B, C, and D. If I take a trade in account A, and that trade is a winner, say that trade is anything, if it's a winner, and if it's a mini trade and it's anything over, if I make anything over $500, I'm typically going to put that account down for the day. I'd like to get it over $750, but at $500, I'm like, I'll put it aside. And on the low side, if I'll try 3 trades on it, if I lose on those 3 trades, I'm done in that account. Okay, but so if I take 4 trades and 4 accounts and they're all winners, I'm typically done after that. And I don't want to continue to trade, especially when I'm not seeing the take well. I don't want to continue to trade. I don't want to trade too many accounts, because it opens up that kind of that gambling mentality. I hope that makes sense. When traders start stacking accounts after account, they can begin disconnecting from the actual dollar risk. The focus shifts from execution to action, right? As opposed to, hey, I'm executing the system, and then it strips to, I just want to, action, 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 action. Like that's why I try to keep it to personally, between 2 and 4 accounts. And there are times where I run out of setups, right? I don't, I'll take some dynamic setups typically later in the day, but there are times where my bandwidth for trading kind of subsides, where I know, okay, I'm probably not going to make good decisions from here on out. Either I'm too excited about what I've done, or I'm too much in my feelings about a loss. So I typically run, you guys see the algorithms that I run. I haven't run any today, but typically run algorithms. And then I'll have the market blueprint setups that I trade, which is what I'm looking at now, which is continuation long above 76.09. We've gotten our first move above it. Easy Money says, Manny, I'm on 2 now, 1 for PA and 1 for prop, different strategies. Yep. I thought, and what I want to do is I want to have staggered payouts. So I'm always getting paid. So they're all 4 of them are typically in different stages. Depending on the risk tolerance, depending on the win ratio, the win rate. All right, got this setup setting up here. I'm going to watch it. Want to let this bar close out here. Stalking that market blueprint setup. Make sure that this one's in aligned here. Happy Hiker, welcome to the team. Happy Hiker, exited my ES long right here moments ago. Hey, nice trade. Sold NQ short. All right, cool. 30,000, 16. I like it. Welcome to the team, Happy Hiker. I have a setup brewing here, but it's not a layup setup, because while I do have the level and I do have the validity of it being a planned setup, there are 2 things I'm running into: the overnight high and the settlement being right above me, as well as yesterday's long-term control. Just above that, I have yesterday's single print to 76.15. So this is the level. But I need to see price form acceptance up here. I want to see price, demonstrate that it wants to be up here, and it's just a little early for that. if you watch price enough, right, you understand, you can get a good idea for acceptance, right? And here's what I mean by that. Like, all right, so let's just grab this distribution right here, right? Let's just grab this one. You can do this pretty much with any like any balance area. See this? Let's just talk this one right here. All right. So let's take this price here, 7603, 7603, which is kind of a price that traded. Let's go 7602, which is a price that traded within this within this distribution. If 7602 was your level, you can see that price first traded it at 3 in the morning. And look, hours later at 8 in the morning, price was still trading. You could have bought 7602. And that's what I look at price that way, right? You don't, not to look at it in a vacuum of say, hey, there's my price. We're never going to see this again. When you form, let's say my level is 7609, we could trade 7609 and we could be trading 7609 in an hour. And and instead of me having to sit through that, it's just demonstrating I'm just looking for the acceptance. 7607, 75 was this candle print low. Order flow looks good here. They're gonna rip it. That's good, easy money. Yep, manage those too. See if we can get up to those, test up to those 7613s. That's yesterday's settlement. Some days we start off hot and heavy, and some days it's just like, and some days it's just slow. Callan focus, the difference between a master and a student. A master has failed more times than a student has attempted. That's a good one, man. I like that. Yeah. I like that. That's pretty good. All right. Oh, man. 7608. Come on. Damn, I had 7609 bid on the move up. And I didn't get a fill. Let me just see the plan again. 7609 to 7612. All right, let's see. Maybe I can still get them. We'll see. All right, we just looked above the overnight high, 7612. 7612 was our overnight high. So I'm running into a little bit of an issue here, right? So conflicting signals, right? Conflicting signals. I have a valid long, but within my trade plan, there's a contradiction. All right, and I think that's good. It's good that we talk about that because no trade plan is perfect. All right, so I have a continuation long at 7609, but everyone here knows that I use the execution clock. So currently the execution clock is telling me that, hey, you might not want to take a long here because we're going into a time-based pivot. Sorry, I'm on the wrong day. Actually, today was low. Today's an AM low. So that changes things for me. Actually, yep, I definitely don't want to be long into a low-based pivot is what I meant. Don't want to be long, even so I have a continuation long at 7609, but I don't want to be long into a low pivot. So you see how that's contradictory? I know it's a little squirrely yet, so let me know if you need a better explanation. what I mean by that is, if you look at the market blueprint, I'd rather participate in the bullish trap trade at this point, and I'll tell you why. Let me just disable this. Oh crap! Wait, am I in it already? Hang on, let me get this right. Okay. The algo's got me long at 76.08. Let me just make sure I got this right. All right, so the algo's got me long at 76.08. I don't want to be long necessarily into a low time frame pivot, but my rule is to let the algorithm execute on its own, and I kind of stay out of its way. So being that I didn't turn it off before there, we'll just let it play out. Just watch the order flow here. If it just, yeah, we went 76.12.50 and then banked hard. Let's watch it here. Watch it very closely. This is conflicting signal, right? So I'm expecting a low base pivot, but I have a long base trade. This is not really an area where you can, where you can kind of form out a higher low. I mean, you can form a high low anywhere, but I'd rather the higher low formed, above the resistance area, not below it. You just keep bumping my head up into it. And we know from the early pre-morning analysis that we have a settlement right here, 76.13, value area high at 76.13. We have overnight high at 76.12. So quite a bit of wood to chop up here. We also have a bearish outside print on the 15-minute, which those never end well. Yep, I'm going to team I'm out of this one. Okay. Oh, well, let's see. It's hard to think that they don't go up and tag the settlement, though. Close it out. 76.08 was the entry. 76.08.50. I closed it out 76.06.50. Again, for the reason I say that we never really converted the 76.09, and I don't want to be long into a low base pivot. This is a tough area though, right? Because we definitely have a reference that was pre-planned, right? But then right above us, we have the overnight high, value area high, settlement. So if I'm getting long 76, I'd almost rather be short it on the bullish trap trade, because to be long at 76.09 and then I run into trouble at 76.12 with 3 points, like that's not good risk reward. That's not a good positioning. If you're going to take anything, this looks like an edge to scalp, short, not long it. So I'd rather just sit that one out. Look at the profile too. The profile is not telling us that this thing is going to go, that it's going to break higher either. And then look, on top of that, we have single prints at 76.15. So that's even more. There was more references. Yeah. So I took a 2-point loss on that one. So I was long 76.08. I got out at 76. I was long 76.0850. Got out 76.0650. And it's thus far it was a good out because my stop loss on that one was 76.0350, and I would have just been stopped out for the full 5 points. So I'd almost rather, I'd almost rather be short, like the bearish, the bullish trap trade up here. So say we get, so say price pulls up, right? Say we get a bounce of the volume point of control, and then we look above, and then we put in a lower high. Then that's something I want to participate in. Or maybe this was that move here. Let's look at it on the tick chart. Maybe it shows up better on the tick chart. Right. So look, you look here on the tick chart, you'd almost see it even better, right? So you kind of have like, you looked at it here, 76.12 is the light gray line. And we breached it by a few ticks, and then we put in a lower high. So now I guess the play is, yeah, I feel like I'm forcing it. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna let it come to me. So what I want to see is get above here. If it comes back in below, then I'm selling it below here. Right? Then what I'm doing is I'm selling it back below here. Or I take it long. But this is gonna chop me up if I keep playing around in here. I'm gonna get chopped. It's gonna, if you sell it in here, then it goes down and it's gonna come right back up. It's just gonna go above, stop all these guys out. Let this area sort out. What time is it? It's 10:30. So maybe the trade materializes in like 10:45, 10:50. Let's just watch for 10 or 15 minutes. Let's just give it some time. Again, if we're going to do anything here, it would have to be the continuation long, but with so many different levels to chop. And gun to my head, you have to bet on the resistance areas breaking, right? Because we're in an uptrend on a higher time frame. NQ is likely to shift. Let's see. Went flat NQ. All right, cool. Quick in, quick out. Multiple large lot orders on offer at 76.03. Thanks, Rockin' Rufus. 76.03, multiple large lot order offers. NQ is likely shifting to a bounce mode that may last a while. Yes, now this is looking like a higher low, right? Again, I want to let it breach up there. Quick bathroom break. Be right back. All right, guys, back. Let's go. Goog is firmly off its overnight lows. Yeah, I don't look at Goog. Easy money. Sometimes people like us like pain. Buddy. Oh man, that would have been brutal. I would have gotten stopped out of this one and it would have worked. Yeah. It hasn't been a good start to the day for me. Take your lumps quick. Take your lumps quickly. Get in, get out. If you're gonna lose fast. Don't sit in there thinking about it. That's my motto. And then here's a little bit of psychology also, right? So I had the 2 scalps that didn't work, and then now I had this trade that didn't work. I took quick exits on them, right? But if my next trade doesn't work, right? Like looking ahead, I'm definitely going to be in stop loss protocol, right? Because then there's going to be 3 trades in a row that didn't work, and I have to be mindful that hey, I might get competitive and want to get it all back. That's my biggest challenge is that I get super competitive. I don't like to lose. Yeah, it was a time where he was just like, when I was talking earlier about not trading too many accounts, and I just want to preface that with, I learned that the hard way, because there was a time where, where I would get competitive and I'd want to win, right? So I would, if I blew an account or something on a trade that I was oversized on, or it just didn't work, or I had multiple losses back to back, I'd get competitive about it, and I'd want to, I'd want to get the money back, and I'd want to win. And I at some point I realized that more accounts wasn't helping me. So I'd build up I'd build up a bullpen of funded accounts that I could activate, and then I'd be having a tough day, and I learned that kind of state of mind that I was in, being competitive, was hurting me. And so that's why I mentioned, hey, let's be careful with having too many accounts going at the same time. A winning day should, at least for me, doesn't have to be a heroic day. It should just be a day with solid P&L curve, solid equity curve going higher, not big spikes and huge, peaks and valleys. Notice that we're moving up higher here. This is that move I was talking about. So now we're going to monitor here for continuation. I like the balance that we've built. The continuation long, it looks a little bit better, right? Because we got that pullback from the resistance area, and now we're holding it and we're moving higher. All right, so let's see if we can get it. Let's see if we can get stock and entry in here. We got that acceptance that we were talking about. We're seeing that acceptance up here. I'm looking for that continuation long up here. See, 76.15 is what we're trading. I'm trying to get an entry. Let's see what shakes out. On my plan, the market blueprint, you see it's a band 76.09 to 76.12. 76.09 to 76.12. Anything within there is acceptable to me. Obviously, I want 76, close to my exit as possible. Right now, my exit would be a re-entry back to the overnight range. So I don't want to see price get below 76.09, 76.10. I kind of like that also, that we let that balance area form, right below the overnight low. It got some shorts in, and then we busted above it. And if we form this balance area here, we demonstrate acceptance. That's even more fuel, right? We have more confirmation. So looking at 76.12. And now this is where the order flow comes in. Real-time order flow. We filled my new ES short moments ago. Okay, cool. Good luck. Good luck, Happy Hiker. Happy Hiker. If you're new here, so my name's Manny from Pitbull Traders. Every morning we map out a plan before the open. We typically lay out 4 to 5 different scenarios that we would want to trade for the day. Also, I put out a trade plan every day on my X feed at Manny_trends. You should go check it out there. It's super accurate. The market blueprint is on a rip right now. It's on day 4. Yesterday was the 4th day where it's either nailed the high or the low of the day. So last week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I got the low of the day. And then yesterday I got the high of the day. Yeah, 76.15 with gap magnet. Yeah, you know what? We traded into those single prints and we're fading now. So watch it. There's so much wood to chop, but you got to think long, right? Higher time frame says it's going higher. All right. I got some 12s. I got one contract at 12. Again, I had the order sitting there. I just want to get the top of that band. I have another order sitting at 76.09. I'd rather not get to 76.09 though. I'd rather pay up and buy like 76.13, right? I'll be. Thanks, Easy Money. Easy Money says, yes, Manny's levels are great. Yep. Thanks, man. Manny, I've read Danny Riley at X since about 2009. Oh man, that's great. Yep. Danny Riley is a good friend, and he's also, obviously, Happy Hiker. He's part of the Pitbull Traders team. Comes on. I got to get him on here more often, but Danny's a busy guy. Danny likes to trade the first hour and the last hour, and then he kind of moves on with his day, which is, it works for him, and that's great. Fully support Danny and what he does. I've been Happy Hiker. You said 2000. I first joined Mr. Top Step in like 2012, I think it was. But before that, he was on. I don't know if you remember when he used to do that noon show on YouTube way back in. Before YouTube was YouTube, when you can only post a 10-minute video. All right, so I got the 76.12. I got super lucky on that because that low print was 76.11.75. I haven't added to it yet. I just want to see how it builds out here. I have the 76.09 bid. I'm gonna turn this one loose here. Let me just see what I have here. I prefer not to get the 7609. I prefer to add to it on the way up, right? That's always, I love adding to winning trades as opposed to, you know, losing ones. I'm going to add one here. My average is 1275. All right, looks like we're getting that follow through. I'd like to get another one on. Maybe build it up to. I have 3 on right now. Damn this! Let me get it up on ES. Which one is this? 157. 1275 is my average. Looking for 5 points on the first, 17. 5 points on the first at 7611. 1675. I'm gonna go. We're moving up nicely here, though. I'm gonna go 18 offered, and then I'm going to get 2275 is what I'm looking for on the top side of that. Let's go back. Wait, you know what? Hang on a second. Let me just take that 18s if I can get them. Offer that 18s for 5-point fill. Offer that 18. Get the stop in here. I'm offered at 18. Let me just look at this chart. All right. What do we have above us? All right. So, you know, if we pull back to 7613, 7612, I mean, you got to sit through that. That would be normal. We have this little notch here, the overnight high. Wait, this is, oh no, the 440 high, which is 7618. Ooh, we want to get above that. I want to take one off ahead of that. I don't like that notch. I really don't. 7618 is that notch? Let me see. That was that 440 high. Yesterday's 440 high at 7618. What does that look like? Now we're working into these single prints. What does that look like on the profile? I think I'll be okay. I should have been offered before it. 7622. I want to be out at 7621. So I want to have an offer in at 7621. See if I can get the 18s to fill. Got them. 18's filled. So I'm down to, I have two left. 7613 is not my average. So I added on the way up. I hope that makes sense to you guys. I would have added to it like at 7609 because it's part of my plan, but I hate adding to losing trade. Like a trade's going against me, I hate adding to it. I hate it. It's hard for me to do. Like there have been times, like say in this setup, 7609 to 7612, where it's part of my plan that I have, you know, that I buy that band, right? It's my responsibility to follow that plan, right? And so I buy 7612 and then I have to put in an order at 7609, and I struggle with that because I'd rather pay, if I'm in at 7612, I'd rather pay 7613. It just comes easier to me. I don't like, for some reason I have a mental block with adding to a losing trade. I don't like to do it. And so there have been times that I've had to add to it at the lower part of the band that I designed, and I haven't done it, and it's cost me. All right, so the next area that we want to that I want to focus on. Well, first off, let me get to the blueprint, see where my resistances are for the day. It's 76.24 to 27. I want to be out ahead of that. Right now, I'm offered at 22.75. Typically, I want a 10-point fill on the second, but I'm going to run into and I'm going to show you where I'll run into trouble on this. So I have to go 21 offered. Right, because we had this support here yesterday. Do you guys see it? We had this balance area here just before the liquidation break. And the lower portion of that balance area can act as resistance. So this price here, I want to be offered ahead of that. So that lowest low of that band came in at 76.22. I want to be offered at like 76.20. Yeah, 76.20. There we go. This way I get that contract off and I'm out of any type of, sneaky sells that might be in there. I still have a contract on, but just give me let me take the small base hit win and stick to executing the plan. I got him. I got filled there. I'm filled there. So nice trade. Nice. Happy that one worked out. So not bad, not a bad day, not a great day by any stretch, but also not terrible. I think I often say that when the market is trending and it's having those explosive type movements, and it's odd because then you'll see on X where most the market's ripping higher and everybody starts arguing with it. In the back of my mind, these are the times where it's easy. Like you should be padding your account for when we get low ranges, small compression, or when your system is not working for you. It's when it's working like that and it's easy, size up, get after it. When there's a time that I was trading and right before I kind of like turned the corner, and I put myself through one of my mentors helped me out with it, and they put me through like a market. It was like a trading boot camp, I call it. It wasn't really called that, but that's what I call it. And so I was forced to trade in a certain way that build certain habits. And, funny enough that even 10 years later, some of those habits are still with me, like adding to losing trades. It's hard for me to do. Trading more than 4 or 5 times a day is my bandwidth for trading shuts down after that many trades. I'm pretty much done. Well, I know, I've had bad days where I've placed 20 trades. And I know there are some people that have traded way more than that. I heard of one dude said he had 152 trades. I'm like, that's like probably a trade a minute for the whole day. I mean, I don't know, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? If that's your strategy, and if that's the way you're trading now, that's fine with it, right? At least you're showing up every day. At least you're putting in the work, right? Let's talk about it. Let's figure out, how we can get the most out of those trades that are working, so that you don't have to place 152 trades. All right, we're pulling up to yesterday's upper distribution, right? So we're pulling up to that area that I mentioned earlier. You can see it kind of here on the profile. On the left, let's pull it up on the chart. Okay, so we're pulling up, we're testing this lower distribution. And you know what? We've looked into it. I was right to take profit ahead of it. Now, where's my next offer? Well, my next offer is a hard offer. 22.75 is for 10, so I'm on 27.75 for a 15-point gain. I think 15 points on a day like today is a pretty solid win. Or I can also take a time-based exit. Manny, did something negate your number 4 setup to go long there? Yeah, correct. So great question. I was hoping somebody would ask that. So Bruce, so earlier, recall that I said that I had tried to scalp it. I'm not sure if you were here for that. Did you hear when I took the 2 scalp trades off of 76.03? Okay, so I took 2 scalp trades off of 76.03, right? And that was the mindset. The idea there was that we were going to put in a lower high ahead of that number 4 short setup. Okay, and so on the first one, I lost 3 ticks, and we're going to call both trades. I traded them live. I don't know what exactly the exits were, but there was very small, few tick losses on each. I think maxed a point on each, because it just, as soon as I entered, it just didn't go anywhere. As soon as it went against me, I closed it. So then we came up and we breached the overnight high by 2 ticks. And I said, well, I didn't want to be long into a short pivot, into a short time-based pivot, and I couldn't be short because it hadn't set up yet. So here, well, in the pre-market, when we discussed the short trade, what we were looking for, if you can see on here, let me draw it out on the Thinkorswim chart. Right, so you can see here we had wait, you know what? Let me just do it on the same chart I'm trading. That's probably better. So here, this light dotted gray line is the overnight high, 76.12. Okay, and so during the pre-market, I said that if we were gonna get the bullish trap trade, we want to see price pull up, get above it, fail, maybe put in a lower high, and then get back below it, and then use the overnight high as our resistance point for that setup. Right, because we were too close to the settlement, 76.13, value area high, 76.13.75, and then we have overnight high, 76.12. So I didn't want to be short there, knowing that price has a tendency to go up and tag the settlement. So if I'm getting short at 76.12 with the settlement being right above me, I'm just asking for a quick stop out, right? Or then I have to accept that I'm going to have to sit through that tag. And I didn't want to do that. So then the next step in the logic chain was that price, when it faded here at this point and it came down, it tagged the developing volume point of control, 76.03. It formed a higher low, and then it went right back up to test it again. So at that point, because I knew that, because of what I said, I prefer to trade the long. And that's when I said on the stream, I said, well, we have to default to the higher time frame, and we're in an uptrend on the higher time frame, so we have to be thinking long here. Does that make sense? That was the idea and the thinking, kind of like the logic chain behind that, why I didn't take the short. Even though I tried it at 76.03, thinking that, hey, we're going to put in a lower high to this. I didn't want it to get above it. And if it did get above it, yeah, let me, Philly D, if you have more explanation, let me know. Like, if you have any questions, let me know. I would have shorted it, but let me get above it first, trap everybody, put in a lower high, and then I'll short it somewhere on the break, back below here. That's the better entry for that setup. So instead of just blindly taking that level and going at it at 76.09 and 76.12, which we did, but you understand why it made more sense. Like, so there's more if on the lower high. It made more sense if we were going to form a lower high here. That would have told us, hey, Bulls weren't present even enough to test the overnight high. They weren't participating enough to breach this high, but we just kept knocking around up here, demonstrating acceptance. So at that point, hey, let's change hats. Let's default to the higher time frame trend, and let's think long. Yep, you're welcome, Bruce. It got a little dicey though there for sure. I took those 2 small losses, just hoping to get that play, right? So there was an order flow read where I saw like the order flow was demonstrating that there was a lack of buyers. There weren't present sellers. That was my read on the order flow, but the buyers weren't pressing. And I think that ultimately that's why I got in. But as soon as I got in and buyers started, and then I started calling it out. I said, oh man, they're really hitting them at 76.04. They're really hitting them at 76.04 quarter. I just closed it out. Got the F out of Dodge. I don't want to sit around hoping and praying and thinking. Because you guys know how this works. If you sit around and you start thinking about considering all the reasons why you should give the trade a chance, right? And every thought is a tick against you. Because your brain is wired that way. It should, because you'll interpret a stop out as pain, and so your brain should rationalize why you shouldn't go through that pain. So it's tricking you there. Does that make sense? So your brain's job is to protect you, to make you feel better. If you interpret stops as pain, then that's your brain's job is going to tell you, hey, no, wait, don't close this trade out. Give it another tick because it might work. And that's when our brains trick us. So don't let it get that far. Just close it out without thinking. Once thinking creeps in, we get into trouble. It gets harder. It gets harder to close it out. You're welcome. Thanks, Happy Hiker. Appreciate it. Yep. I'm glad that makes sense for you. Yeah. All right, still offered up here at 27.75. I hope that makes sense. I have to, excuse me, 1 quick second. Somebody's at the door. I am back, team. Narrow miss up there on the 27 offer. What time is it? 11:05. Getting close. We're getting close to that window. Happy Hiker says Google saw rejection when bounced to 373.52 Monday session low. Okay. Hey, you know what? I haven't heard very much in terms of SPYGATE. Make sure that we have that going. All right. Got that first. Oh, wait. Gotta get this. So got this one going on here, this algo long, but I kind of had to take the signal manually. Missed the fill there by a bloody tick. All right, got the 15-point fill, guys. On the left, I got the 76.27 target filled for plus 15 points. So we got plus 5, plus 8, and then plus 15 on the last. Nice little trade there. Makes up for that, for the earlier earlier issues we ran into with the early scalp trades that lost about 2 points, got made back. And then we had this algo trade that got in and I lost 2 points on it. We got in at 76.0850. I took it off at 76.0650 for a 2-point loss. Staying patient here off the open is probably, you know, something I want to talk about is trades will materialize. Right? Well, and maybe I say that because I'm biased, because I'm not a very good, I don't consider myself a very good early date or early morning trader. I don't think that I've never been statistically, I'm horrible statistically, I'm horrible in the first half hour. So, and I started to learn over time, you know, when I looked at my statistics, that if I just stayed out of the first half hour, it was like giving myself a raise. And so then that also started to materialize into, hey, watching the first half hour, there's so much to be learned about the tone and the tail for the day. That first half hour, weaving through the daily open and how many times that happens can give you great insights how the day is going to materialize. Yeah, well, CB, I try to stay away from it. I try as much as I can, and like everybody else, right? Sometimes, I can sit here when the ball is not in play and say, hey, I'm not going to trade that first half hour, and then you see something, and all of a sudden you're in a trade. But I try not to. I try not to go in the first half an hour as much as I can, and then especially. So here's another thing, right? Where we're merging like the psychology and our execution together. So especially if in that first half hour, say I have, 2 full size, not like the stops I took, the scalp stops I took this morning, but 2, 3 or 2 5-point losses, which is very easy to happen in the morning volatility. If I take those 2 in the first half an hour, it's going to be very hard for me to mentally reconstitute myself and get back into a mental position of where I feel that I'm in control and confident with what I'm doing. So I don't want to fall into that mindset too early on into the day. And you can apply that kind of that thinking also to any time of the day, right? So think about this, right? If you take a loss, and that loss, obviously no one likes to take losses, so it affects you. If you take another loss very quickly right after, right? It's almost okay. Hang out here. Time out. I'm at a point. I'm at setup number 5, so I need to be careful here. Time out. I'll finish that in a minute. I'm gonna peel one off here. I need to peel one off. And I want to tighten up my stop. I'm at a resistance point. Be focused on this trade. I took one off immediately right there, just simply because I realized that I'm at setup number 6. I'm at setup number 5. So anyhow, back to what I was saying. So let's just talk about, let's just merge the psychology and execution. So say that we'll use me as an example. So say that I'm in a trade and I take a 5-point stop. And then shortly thereafter, within, a few minutes, I'm in another trade, but, I'm probably not thinking very clearly. And then I take another 5-point stop. That second 5-point stop, obviously the first one is going to affect you. Any stop does to a certain degree, but that second stop out is going to have a greater effect to a much deeper degree than the first one. Now you're digging yourself out of a larger mental hole, and it exponentially grows with me. And I'm pretty sure with everyone I've worked with, it's the same way. With every successive stop out you take, the degree to which your mental fortitude deteriorates, it grows exponentially. So that's why we want to be very, very cautious, especially around the time where we take 1 stop out, then 2 stop outs. And I talked about that earlier when I had the first scalp stop outs, and then I had the algo 2-point stop out. And I mentioned, hey, I want to be careful here because I don't want to go into and take a third trade. And if my next trade is a stop out, I'll definitely be in stop loss protocol. And the reason why I said that was because now I'll have the scalp trade, which the scalp trade for a loss of 2 points. Honestly, that level of stop doesn't have an effect on me. The 2-point algo stop, it in and of itself, by itself, it's going to affect me, but not as much as a full 5-point stop. But because the 2-point stop came right on the heels of the scalp stops, now I have to consider, hey, if I take one more, it's going to have an effect on me. Even if I try to hide it, conceal it, brush it off, the way you brush it off that feeling, the way you bury that feeling is what? You put on another trade. And then now you're not thinking clearly. Whether you think you are or not, you're probably not. And that's at that time is when you need to take a break, you need to step away so that you can dig in and get a hold of yourself and understand what you want to do on your next trade. And so that's why I think it's very important to space those losers out. If you do, when we do take a stop, because it's not an if, when we do take the stop outs, understand that trading in rapid fire and taking stops back to back to back, it's going to be harder to recover from that mentally. The quicker those trades are. You stand more to lose with two losing. So if you take a loser and then you have your very next trade is the winner. Say you take 2 trades within 3 minutes. The first trade is a loser. The second trade is a winner. That second trade winner will not help you to the degree that if you took a second trade and that second trade was a loser, to the degree that that loser will hurt you. Does that make? I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I agree. Live action. Yep. The tech. The tech is the entire market. That's why we're seeing all of these. Check out this divergence chart I saw yesterday. This I was looking at. I'm writing an article. I wrote an article today for the opening print. Go check it out. But I also wrote another one. Look at this. And it's all based on this chart I got down from X. 4 consecutive record highs on negative breath. This has never happened before. And it's because the market is all tech right now. It's never been this way before. And I think, is this a fundamental shift? Is nothing else ever going to be the same? I don't know. If so, we have to throw out a lot of old tools. A lot of people are saying, that they're using all new tool sets anyhow. A lot of options guys think that Black-Scholes is dead, or that an inferior way of pricing options. But I hope that mindset portion, I hope that resonates with you, because it's important to understand. And I have a pre-market narrative, and we'll average in a lot. Losing trades are minimal, but at the time it can be huge, and it's my Achilles heel. Yeah. So think about that. Live action says I have a pre-market narrative and will average in a lot. Losing trades are minimal, but at time they can be huge. It's my Achilles heel. So that's why we tend to average into our losing trades, right? So we're trying to avoid the pain of taking that stop out. What I'm talking about is after that. So if after that happens to you, just understand that the risk involved, say you take a stop out, right? It's best to just cut it as quickly as possible and stand aside. Because if you take another trade right after that, if you say you take a stop out and then you take another trade within whatever that time window is for you, with you specifically, that could be a couple of seconds. For most people, it could be 30 seconds, under a minute. It could be within a few minutes. But if you have a stop out, and if say you place another impulsive trade because you're reacting to that loss and you think you got it right this time, and say you do get it right the second time, some trades take more than one entry, and I often mention it. It took 2 tries, but if you take that second entry and that trade ends up being a winner, right? What is gained from that mentally, is a lesser degree. Took that second trade, and that second trade adds, now you have 2 losers. That mental hurdle is a deeper degree than what that second trade winner will benefit you. And it's important to know that, because once you understand that cognitively and you understand that like cerebrally, you can then start to understand, hey, there's a lot of risk involved with me just pulling the trigger based off of how I feel from the last stop out. Let me slow it down. Let me breathe a little bit. Let me step away, because I want to execute well on this next trade, because I know that the risks are heightened, not just from my account, but also from my mental fortitude. Phillies D says, what does Gartman say? Emotional capital is just as important as physical capital. Yep. I think mental capital is more valuable, especially nowadays with prop firms, right? I think mental capital is more important than capital. Honestly, that's our true edge. Take care, Live Action. Have a good one. I know you did well. You crushed those Marvel calls, so good for you. And especially today with prop firms, and access to capital has never been easier. You can always buy another valuation, right? You can always work your way to another funded account. You can always find more capital, but it's how can I say? But it's what happens when you burn through that mental capital that's going to give you your ability to not just buy another account. That's easy, but take it through the process of getting it funded and actually getting paid on that investment into that account. Mental capital is confidence, it's focus, it's patience, it's discipline, it's decision making. I can replace a blown account at any point. It's a lot harder to replace a blown mindset. All right, we're moving on up here. I'm coming into our window. I tightened up on this because we reached that setup number 6. And if any of you tried that setup number 6 because you were flat, look, I get it. I totally understand that. I probably would have tried it also had I been flat and not in the long. But we have to do that. If you guys notice on the market blueprint, for all y'all that are just following, I'm not sure if you guys have been following when we were in a downtrend, but the market blueprint lately has 1 or 2, max 3 bearish setups, and they're typically really far outside the range. When we're in a downtrend, it inverts, right? You'll get 3 or 4 or 5 resistance bearish setups, but I draft more bullish setups because I want to stay on the right side of the tape. I want to keep all of us on the right side of the tape. All right, we're here. We're approaching yesterday's high. Yesterday's high is 76.32 quarter. Man, this thing's relentless. I don't know. Do you guys think we're gonna get a big look above and fail of yesterday's high? Like, we had a pretty good swan dive towards into the close yesterday. It looked like a big profit take to me. Let's check out. There's gonna be one thing. Yeah, the weighted AD is pretty positive. Look at AD. If that was like diverging, I would have probably thought maybe it could happen. Yep, it makes sense that we probably pull up here, 32 quarter, fall just shy of the high. Right, astute traders are getting out of their long trades just below that yesterday's high. Hang out, guys. Hang tight. I've got to get the door. Hang on. Hey guys, I'm back. All right. Sorry about that. My kids had a lot going on over here. Bunch of kids in my house. Looks like we're pulling back. Looks like we might be at that 11 o'clock high. We got that pullback off of just below yesterday's high. We fell 2 ticks shy of yesterday's high and pulled back. Coming back in to test that low volume node, right? Got that low volume node creeping right there. Coming at 76.26. You guys see that low volume node right here? Let's watch that, see if it holds. That's 76.26. That's a low point in volume. where price is very thinly traded. Typically, what you're going to see there is the first test may act as a support or a resistance. I wouldn't expect that to remain that way for the day. When it does, you have a trend day in the making. We have quite a few low volume nodes forming today. All right, it looks like I'm going to have to take a graceful exit on this trade. We get below that 26. I don't want any piece of this. My entry is 25.75 on the manual execution. I don't really, just going to take what it offers here. What I got plus 3 points on the first. I'm right at this resistance point. I'm out. Yep, I took it off. I got 1 point on the last. It's not all I wanted, but all I could take. I thought I would get that second target out of it, but it didn't. So typically I'm going 5 and 10 on that strategy. And I got, instead of getting the 5 point, I noticed that we were at setup number 5. So I think I took 2.5 points on the first and then 1 point on the second. So a total of 3 points. That first low volume node is just filled. See what the high looks like. Oh, look at this. Ha. All right. Let's see what we got. If you're just joining us, I'm Manny from Pitbull Traders, and we're tracking the ES. We got our breakout for continuation long off of the market blueprint setup. We also got the most bullish iteration that we were looking for, right? Talked about breakout over above 7607, 7605. We pulled back to it, and then we tagged into the upper overnight high. Let's give you a quick shot of what that looked like. Okay. So when we framed out our open this morning, we were looking for the most bullish iteration. That's over here, what you see on the left. And that's kind of what played out here. We broke above. Let's pull up the chart, the correlated chart. We got our pull up, right? Price came, it pulled up, it pulled right back to this area and held. You get a better drawing. We pulled back, we held, and then we tagged the overnight high. That's not a trade that I participated in, but if you did really well on it. I'm glad you got it. We pulled back, and then we pulled up higher for the breakout. And ultimately, now we're following through to the upside. We said we might see a tag of yesterday's high for the most bullish iteration, and now we've just gotten up there. Myself and I know at least one other person participated in the market blueprint setup number 4. Setup number 3, which was a continuation long above 7609.12. And we got 5 points, 8 points, and 15 points on the last contract. We go live every morning at 9 a.m. We map out 4 scenarios, sometimes 5. Give you 5 trade ideas in which to trade. Typically on a very consistent basis, at least one of those is playing out successfully. I go back and I review this game to make sure that there's a value add to everyone that's watching them, as well as if you go to my feed at Manny_trends, you'll find that I put out a daily market blueprint roadmap that gives you not only the high probability levels, but as well as the highest probability times in which to trade those setups. Go check it out. All right, that's going to call it for the morning session, team. Thank you all, everyone, for joining us. If you got anything out of this at all, please do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notify button. It goes a long way. We hope we added some value to your trading today. We'll be back at it again tomorrow from 9 to 11:30. And we're continuing to build out. We keep expanding the team. We're going to continue to build it out and add more shows and add more time slots. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. Thanks for the support. Appreciate it. And we will see you again tomorrow.